Okay, you've seen the video. Okay, you've seen the video on how to make and refine a wireframe, analyzing the wireframe of the curves of your ZBrush model. I hope you've seen that. But anyways, here it is, right here. One of the wireframe that I created in the previous video. And what I'm going to simply do is show you how to get that wireframe inside of Alias so that you can maybe build it if you'd like to build a model inside of Alias from one of your ZBrush sculpts. So first you want to just get that model in one subtool, and what this is actually this is the one model, and I've just divided this up into polygroups, as you can see here. You see that in the previous video. So once I've done that, I just click and click again to invert it, and then I just take off the frame mesh right here. Just take off the frame mesh. It doesn't really matter whether you take it off or not. But anyways, and then after that, just go to export here, and you can save that out as a wire file. As you can see, I've already put this as wiring, but it's already saved out as an OBJ. So when you go here, import and export, you're saving the file out as an OBJ. If you go here, you're saving the file out as a tool, which is not what you want to do in this case. So go here, right here, export, and then name it whatever you want, save it in the location that you want. Once that's in, you want to go to Alias, or you can go to Rhino, but I'm not familiar with Rhino, and import it in. You can see that I've already imported it in, but in order to import it in, you just want to go to File. So you go to File, you want to go to File, and you want to either open or import that file. And when you import the file, you find it wherever you saved it and open that file, and then voila, it appears in your screen. When it comes in, it's going to be extra small. So you want to pick that object here, and then you want to go to your information. And this is how I do it. First I scale it. You know the marking menus inside of Alias. So scale it to the size that you need it. And I really don't worry too much. I just want to make it bigger than it usually is. It's usually really small. And then once that's done, I go to my information, Windows information, Control 5, and then bring up the transform options, and then I rotate it. Usually it's about 90 in the X, and then it's not always this. Then I rotate it so that X is the long axis, or X is the center line. And so in order to do that, I'm going to have to rotate this maybe 90, negative 90. So we have this, right? Close this window. And so here's our model inside of Alias. I'm just going to move this up somewhat. Once it's inside of Alias, let me go ahead and save this. Wiring. What's inside of Alias, then I can just now go ahead and copy those lines. Copy those lines with Alias curves. And many of you already know how to use Alias, so it's not a big deal, but some of you don't. So I'm going to use a CV curve, and both of them are really the same kind of curve. You can use a edit point curve or CV curve. Use a CV curve because I kind of know where I want the CV, so I'm going to just kind of put them here. Put one out here so that this goes out. I'm just copying this particular curve now. Let's put one here and then put one here. Okay. And then let's do another curve. Let's do the center line curve. One here, 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 and then here. Now these all are going to be on the center line, unfortunately, but we're going to have to move those out. I'm going to put one here, 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 probably here. This one's coming down like this, here, here, and here. Put one out because I know that's going to wind into the center line. So we've got 3 lines that I can relate in terms of side view. So this line here, the curve, that one's going to move out to about, that one's going to move out. By the way, I'm going to put all of these curves on a separate layer, new layer, and then I'm going to assign that to that layer. Should I hate this when it happens? To move this down a little bit so I can see. Yikes. Let's move that sort of like this. I want to be able to for some reason, when you're using Alias and I've got this thing on, that's Camtasia, taping my screen, when I click on the layer menu, I can't see all of the picks. So with that, I want to assign that to this particular layer. I can name this wires or whatever, but I'm not. And then let's just go ahead and move these to their location in Y. Pick this curve. I'm going to move this here. That's going to represent that line there. I'm going to bring this one out here. And this one's going to come here, about here. And you'll see what I mean. So with that, I can come now to my, you've got those in a general location, and then now I can start matching these curves. Matching these curves in plan view. I'm just going to put it right in plan view and start moving these curves to match this this line. And I know it's somewhere in the center. It's not an exact science because remember, inside of Zbrush, you don't have curves per se. So, but it gives you a good idea, and you understand. The nice thing about this is that you understand what you're going to do already, because you've already plotted these lines. You've already plotted these lines. You've already plotted. You already understand the intersection of the globals. So it shouldn't be a big issue when it's time to construct these surfaces inside of Alias. So we've got one more. And by the way, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this symmetry so it goes on the other side. And we've got this one more here, down here. This curve there, and I'm going to bring that out maybe about here. And let's get that to follow. That's probably going to be about here, 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 move here. Obviously, there's going to be some adjustment between the lines, because with every iteration that you do, you're going to end up adjusting things, making them better, which is part of the development of this model, of this design. Like so, I'm going to make this somewhere around here. Oops. So what I'm trying to do is, you see this curve here, I'm trying to sympathize with the curve inboard of that, the top line inboard of that. So of course, as I'm doing that, in side view is going to change somewhat, so I'm going to have to adjust it in side view, right? Adjust it in side view, and see how it feels there. So I'm going to now put this particular object, oops, put the object here on its own separate layer 2, new layer, and we're going to assign that to this. And let me save this so we don't destroy things. And then now I can make that invisible at wheel. But I'm just going to take this down here. Maybe, let me take both of these here. And I'm going to make this disappear. So now I can look at all of these lines in relationship to each other. I'm going to turn them all off and see what we have. This line seems somewhat off. All of these lines seem off in side view. Let me bring everything back. Visible? Yeah. This one is the culprit. Right, so we get that. Now they're starting to relate a little bit better. Some relationship issues with those two lines, but the point is I'm able to really tweak these lines in three-dimensional space, and then we can build surfaces off of those if we'd like to build this inside of Alias. We'd like to build this inside of Alias, but we have this base, which you see here. We have this base in which to really tweak this. Well, we have this base in which we can bounce off of, which is the cool thing, right? So I'm going to continue to build the rest of these curves in space, and I'll show you at the end of this video how everything works together, how I've tweaked everything, and maybe in a later video I'll show you how I would go ahead and build surfaces with the curves generated. But again, this is only one way, and I'm going to show you a different way of really coming up with some surfaces. I think this is a slower way, by the way. I think if it's about getting your idea out there and getting it out there fast, and you're not looking for still perfect surfaces, you're looking for to express your ideas in a really quick way, then maybe this is not the best way. I'm going to put a section line here just to give me something. Let me put that right here. And we can bring this out here because touch that. I am now creating a section, and it would have probably been good if I created that section, understood that section, or called out that section inside of Zbrush. But I do know that we're trying to make it where maybe we need some more CVs for this. We're trying to make it where this section highlight is around here. So I'm trying to get it where that's where most of the change in surface is. And we'll adjust that as we go along. But let's call that the section line for this particular. It really has to cross that line perfectly. So that line might have to be adjusted somewhat as we go forward. So I can do, I've got that one, got that one. I'm going to do this here. So again, I'm not going to bore you with this. We will pick back up after I've plotted all the lines out, and you can see how they look.